Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Sapna Dadwal. I'm working as a professor in the Department of Management at St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management. This is lecture 5 of OB, that is Organizational Behavior, of semester 2nd. The subject is taught in BBA 2nd semester. The topic I'm going to cover in this lecture are approaches to personality development, big 5 personality traits, and the last topic is application of personality trait in organizational behavior. First, I'm starting with first approaches to personality development. There are two approaches to development. There are two approaches for the development of personality. One approach tries to identify specific physiological and psychological stages that occur in the development of personality. The second approach tends to identify the important determinants or trait of the personality. I'm starting with first approach, that is which determine physiological stages which occurs in personality. So first is personality stages as per Freudian stages. So Sigmund Freudian has given four stages of personality development. These stages are as follows. According to Freudian, the first stage of personality development is the ID, id. The ID or id is the foundation of unconscious behavior and is base of libido drives. It is the original and most basic system of human personality. The id is governed by principles of greed and pleasures. So, according to him, the clinical finding led him to calculate that major motivating force in man is unconscious framework. There are three aspects to this framework. So, it is according to him that the ID represents a storehouse of all instincts. He says the ID, id, is a storehouse of all the instincts, containing its dark depths, all wishes and desires that unconsciously direct or determine the behavior of persons. In simple words, id or ID, id is the source of psychic energy and seek immediate satisfaction of biological and instinctual needs. According to Freudian, the second stage is the ego. So ego is related with the realities of life. The ID was an unconscious part, while the ego is conscious part of human personality. It checks the ID through logic, intellect. The most important characteristic of ego is that it has the ability to distinguish between mental images and actual sources of tension release. And it responds to the real source of tension reduction. So ego performs this task by observing accurately what exists in the outside world and record these experiences carefully, remembering it, and modify the external world in such a way as to satisfy the instinctual wishes. Now the third stage as per Freudian is the superego stage. He says the superego stage represents a system of values, norms and ethics that guide and govern a person to behave properly in the society. In one sense, the superego can be described as a conscience. It provides norms and value to ego to determine what is wrong or right at a given time in a given situation. So in other words, the superego judges whether an action is right or wrong as per the set norms and standards of the society. So it is very clear from this. Freudian has established three states. First was it was an unconscious state. and according to him, it was storehouse of all instinct, containing in its dark depth all the wishes and desires, and it was a unconscious stage. Then ego was a conscious part of human being, and it tries to check through logic and intellect the desire. It distinguish between mental image and actual sources of tension release. And the third stage was superego, which is it is system of value. It represents a system of value, norms and ethos that guides and govern a person to behave properly in the society. Now comes Erikson stages. This is given by Erikson, Freudian. Actually, Freudian theory emphasizes on biological factors in development of personality, whereas Erikson criticized this emphasis because he was of the view that more importance should be given to social factors. So Erikson described 8 developmental stages of the personality, and these stages are as under. So I'm starting with the Erikson stages. First stage according to Erikson is infancy. So during the first year of the life, a child has a great need for dependency. He is dependent on his mother. So in this stage, a feeling of trust versus mistrust are developed in this state, and these feelings depend upon the behavior of parents. If the parents care for the infant in a very affectionate way, the child learns to trust other people. So lack of love and affection on the part of the parents result in mistrust. So this stage makes a serious impact on the child that influences his behavior throughout his life. Now the second stage, that is early childhood. In this is the second stage. In the second and third year of life, a child begins to assert independence and experience great need to operate on his own. Similarly, in the organizational life, a person wants to operate independently after initial training. If he is allowed to do so, a feeling of autonomy will develop. Now comes the third stage, that is play age. When a child is 4 and 5 years old, he tries to discover how much he can do. If the parent encourages to experiment and to achieve reasonable goals, he will develop a sense of initiative. In the same way, organizational members try to use their creative and acquire talent as they settle down in their job. The next one is school age. From 6 to 12 of age, he learns many new skills and develops social abilities. If the child experiences real progress at a rate compatible with his ability, or he or she will develop a sense of industry. Likewise, in our organizational life, we try to work hard to make position for ourselves. Then comes adolescence. As a child reaches the end of his adolescence, that is teenage years, his experience conflict due to the social imposed requirement that he should become independent adult. In this period, he has to gain a sense of identity. So in organizational setup also, every employee has to make contribution to the organization and establish himself as a high performer. Then comes early adulthood. During the 20s, need is felt to develop an intimate relation with others. If the organizational life also, people may desire to develop closer contact with others who are significant and important in the system. Then comes adulthood. This is the stage of middle adulthood. Self-absorbed people never develop an ability to look beyond themselves. They become absorbed in career advancement and maintenance. Likewise, in organization, as a person reaches his mid-career, there is an expectations and need to mentor others in the system and help them develop and grow in the organization. Then comes the last stage, that is a mature adulthood. In this stage, a person gains a sense of wisdom. This stage starts from starts from middle adulthood to death. In this stage, conflict is experienced as individual feels that their social and biological roles get minimized due to aging process, and they experience a sense of uselessness. Now the next topic, that is big five personality traits. In recent times, researchers have identified five fundamental traits that are relevant to organizations. These are agreeableness, consciousness, negative emotionality, extroversion, openness. Each of these five personality traits has two extreme points, high and low. All agreeableness, whether it's a consciousness, whether it's a negative emotionality, extroversion, open, all have two extreme points, high and low. Now I'm starting with first trait, that is agreeableness. First is agreeableness refers to a person's ability to get along with others. Agreeableness causes some people to be gentle, cooperative, forgiving, understanding in dealing with others, and low agreeableness people tend to have not so good working relationship with others. Then consciousness. Then consciousness. Consciousness refers to number of goals on which a person focuses his attention. Person who focuses on relatively few goals at a time likely to be organized, systematic, careful and disciplined. Whereas this is opposite with the people who focus on more goals at a time. They will be less organized, less systematic and less disciplined. So researchers shows that more conscious persons tend to be higher performers than less conscious, conscientious persons in a variety of jobs. This pattern seems to be logical since conscientious persons take their jobs seriously, approach their jobs in a highly responsible fashion, whereas less conscientious persons, they are less disciplined and doesn't give importance to their job as conscientious people give. Then comes negative emotionality. Emotions means moving of the feeling or agitation of a mind. Person with less negative emotionality are relatively poised, calm, resilient and secure. Persons with less negative emotionality tend to better handle job stress, pressures and tensions. Their stability also leads them to seen as big, more reliable than their less stable counterparts. Then comes extroversion. Degree of extroversions reflect a person's comfort level with relationships, whereas introversion is the tendency in individual which directs them to turn inward. So introverts are generally quite reflective and intellectual people who prefer to interact with small intimate circle of friends. And they are more likely to be successful when they can work on highly abstract ideas such as research and development in a relatively quiet environment or atmosphere. Whereas extroverts, on the other hand, are sociable, lively, and seek outward interactions. They are liable to be more successful working in a sales activity, publicity department, public relations, etc. Now comes openness. This is the last big five trait. Openness refers to person's rigidity of belief and range of interest. Persons with high level of openness are willing to listen to new ideas and to change their own own ideas, beliefs, and attitude to new information. They also tend to have broad interest and to be curious, imaginative, and creative. On the other, person with a low level of openness tend to be less receptive to new ideas and less willing to change their minds. They tend to have a fewer and narrower interest. Now, there are other personality traits also. Beside big five traits, there are other personality traits which are very equally important to the organization. These are self-concept and self-esteem. Self-concept is the way individuals define themselves as to who they are and deserve their sense of identity. Whereas self-esteem denotes to the extension which they consistently regard themselves as capable, successful, important and worthy individuals. Then comes is Machiavellism. Refers to manipulation of others as primary way of achieving one's goals. These people measure the extent to which an individual tends to be. The people with high score on MASH skills tends to be cool, logical in assessing the system around them, willing to twist and turn facts to influence others and try to gain control of people, event and situation by manipulating system to their advantage. Then locus of control. Locus of control means whether people believe that they are in control of events or events control them. Those who have internal locus of control always believe that they control and shape the course of events in their life. Then next is tolerance and ambiguity. Some people can tolerate high level of ambiguity without experiencing undue stress and still function effectively. Then comes type A and type B. Personality has been grouped into two categories denoted by alphabet A and B. Type A, people always feel a sense of time, urgency, are highly achievement oriented. As to type B, which are easygoing people. There comes 6, work ethic orientation. People may have different work ethics orientation depending upon their personality. People with extreme work ethics orientation get greatly involved in the job. Then comes risk taking. Risk taking is the degree to which the person is willing to take chance and make risky decisions. The person with high risk taking degree will always go for a risky decisions as comparison to the person low degree risk taking. Now the next topic is the application of personality traits in OB. This is not clear. Now first is locus of control. Locus of control indicate the degree to which people that are masters of their lives. The people who have internal locus of control believe that they can shape the course of the events and always result into increase in their performance, always organizational performance. So the people who have internal locus of control, they will be opposite to people who have internal locus of control. So in external locus control, people always believe that they are in the hands of fate and what happens to them is controlled by outside forces. Then second feature is authoritarian. Then it refers to the blind acceptance of authority. Authoritarian people believe in obedience and respect of authority. If in the organization the manager is of believe in authority, believe in authoritarianism, then he will always like his department or his subordinate to abide by his rules and regulations. He will not be pleased by suggestions, etc. And that is opposite with the democratic style of leadership. Then comes bureaucratic personality. A bureaucratic person differs from authoritarian person because it is based on respect for the rules and regulations. A bureaucratic person values subordination, rules, comfort, orderly processes in the organization. They are generally not innovative, do not take risks, and are at ease in following established directives. Now, Machiavellism. This type of personality believes in manipulating others for personal gains and keeping control of others. I have already explained in the above this. Then comes introvert and extrovert personalities. Introvert persons are basically shy, prefer to be alone, and have difficulty in communicating. Whereas extrovert are outgoing, objective oriented, and aggressive. So these personalities do have application in the organization. As introvert people, they are very good at research and development, whereas extrovert people, they are very good at sales job, publicity jobs. Then comes next is type A and type B personality. Type A people are generally restless, impatient, and achievement oriented, perfectionist, whereas type B people much more easygoing, relaxed about the pressure, less competitive, and more philosophical in nature. So both have application in the organization. Now comes problem solving. Individuals have their own style of making decisions, and this style reflects their personality. Then comes risk taking. People differs in their willingness to take chances and taking risky decisions. Some are willing to take risks, some are not willing to take risks. Some take risky decisions, some just wait for the managers to take the risky decisions. So these personalities, these kind of people, personalities do have applications in the organizational behavior. Every personality have their own role in the OB, organizational behavior. Now these are the questions which are related to the above topics. If any query is there, please do contact me. If any writing mistake is there, please do contact me. Please ignore that writing mistake. Thank you so much.